I'm Sean Donovan,
I'm Trevor Sorek.
and welcome to The Fine Cut. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the two most anticipated movies of the summer, I'd say, in the movie Barbie, directed by Greta Gerwig, and the movie Oppenheimer, directed by, would you say our boy,
He's
Christopher Nolan?
my boy.
He's your boy.
Yeah.
Maybe not my boy, but
I like all of his movies.
Christopher Nolan. Oppenheimer is directed by Christopher Nolan, and yeah. So the collective name that the internet has come up with is Barbenheimer. So this is the Barbenheimer.
Oppenbee.
No. No.
No one suggested that one. I just want to know why.
Because I think Barbenheimer
It
rolls
doesn't
off the
sound
tongue.
as good.
Barbenheimer rolls off the tongue. Like, it sounded like you struggled with that name a little bit.
Boppenheimbee.
Boppenheimbee? No.
It can be whatever you want. That's all
No.
I'm saying.
It can, but use the correct terminology of Barbenheimer, and that's what this podcast will be about. But first, Trevor, I wanted to talk to you quickly about some things that have come up within the world of film. Our first episode that we did back about 4 weeks ago, we talked about our favorite upcoming movies of 2023, and one of mine just got delayed. And that was the movie Challengers, starring Zendaya. That movie got delayed till 2024. And I just wanted to talk to you quickly.
Is that because of the writer's strike?
Yes, it's actually it's
Oh.
delayed because of the writer's strike and the SAG strike.
Well,
So-
I'm sure we're gonna hear a lot more about delays.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this up because a lot of outlets are basically pinning some more delays, and two of yours
No.
may or may not be delayed, and that's Dune Part 2.
No. I have to
And
wait
I think-
longer.
I think Napoleon was also one that got.
After the trailers that have come out for Napoleon, looks really good.
So
that-
yeah, I just wanted to bring it
Disappointing
up.
that we have to wait longer, but
I know. I just wanted to bring it up quickly because I saw that and I'm like, I was really mad when Challengers got delayed, and also it's leading to whole film festival stuff because I'm pretty sure you mentioned that I am going to hopefully be going to TIFF again, which is the Toronto International Film Festival this year, and I'm worried. I'm worried, especially
they're not
especially
going
when
to show anything. They're just going to have a blank screen for you to look at.
Taika Waititi's new film Next Goal Wins is scheduled to be, I think, the opener for TIFF.
Mm-hmm.
But people are even pegging that to be like, is it going to actually be, ready?
They need some up and coming filmmakers to sub in.
Call us up. We're just.
I mean, I've never made a film before, but I'm sure I can.
I've
do
made
it
a
in a
5-minute
couple
short
weeks.
film. That's about it. But
Like it's hard. I mean,
yeah, come on, guys.
I'll just
Making movies aren't
I'll
hard.
just write something up in my spare time. I'll write up a screenplay. You can film it,
Man,
and we can.
you're gonna
debut
be.
it.
Oh well, you're not part of the WGA, so you can't be a scab, I guess.
Yeah, like
So-
I'm not striking because I'm not part of
You're
the
not
thing.
part of it, but.
I'm not getting paid. This is for
But
fun.
anyways, some of the great people at SAG and the WGA wrote or did these two movies that we're talking about, Barbie and Oppenheimer. So let's, I just want to say stand with them. Just wanted to bring that up quickly because where are we going to be in, 4 or 5 months? Challengers was scheduled to come out in September. That's 2 months away. So that's just what I wanted to
We're
put
gonna
in
have to
there.
bring Top Gun Maverick back.
Hey guys, welcome to the 15th podcast.
It's Top Gun Maverick again.
Sorry guys, I just wanted to, bring that up and be like, that's kind of, it's kind of scary, especially I think that they deserve fair wages.
We'll have to pivot to my history podcast idea.
Oh yeah, we're gonna just a 7 episode like pot of you sitting alone, just being like,
hey
so,
man, history is
entire
better than
history of the
any
world.
movie. Come on.
Well, good
Oh,
history
that's
though.
relevant.
History does make good films though. With
Well, yeah.
little spoiler that I think we both enjoyed Oppenheimer a lot, but
That's an
before we did-
understatement.
before we get into Oppenheimer, I want to start with Barbie. You know, it's the first part of Barbenheimer, so we got to start with Barbie. I saw this. I did the iconic double feature of Barbie then Oppenheimer. You, on the other hand,
I did not have the time for the double feature, so I saw Oppenheimer first.
and then went and saw Barbie.
I saw it today, actually.
So
I
it's
got
like
some
fresh in your mind.
got some fresh thoughts.
So now the main thing that I want to say is that I think this is another win for Greta Gerwig. Would you agree?
So, not being familiar with Greta Gerwig's work.
Oh my God! I didn't even realize you haven't seen those movies.
Well, I like this one, so that's a win.
All right.
New fan here. Hello.
Man, I really got to educate you sometimes.
Okay, I've seen films you haven't seen, so
That is true.
let's not act all high and mighty.
Okay. But I've seen all 3 of Greta Gerwig's films, and I loved Barbie. And it's another, in my opinion, another one for Greta.
Are you trying to gatekeep or something?
No, I'm not gatekeeping.
It's like,
how could I gatekeep Lady Bird and Little Women?
I don't know.
Little Women is a book that's been around for like over 100 years, and Lady Bird is like one of the most like celebrated films of the past like 10 years.
All right, Mister. I'm a real fan because I've seen all the movies.
Oh my God! All right, but since you haven't seen another Greta Gerwig film, you enjoyed it still.
Yeah, just great direction behind the camera, I'd say.
I thought I was one thing that I was really worried about going into Barbie is that I was just going to be blockbuster. It's just going to be a blockbuster movie, you know, not really good, not
no
not
substance
good.
to it or
yeah,
something?
no substance. But it, to me at least, and I want to get your opinion on it, is it felt like an indie film, especially having seen Lady Bird, where Lady Bird is about this girl kind of coming of age. She's leaving high school, going to college. She's got to go from her family and everything, and she's dealing with family issues. But it felt like that kind of like story and themes, but with a blockbuster paint on it.
Well, yeah, the whole Barbie being owned by Mattel, this basically being the Lego movie, definitely makes it feel a little less indie for me. But you know, not that it had to be.
I feel like it's a lot more deeper than the Lego movie, though.
Okay, I mean, I could see that.
I think it's a lot more deeper, especially since Lego movie is just like, be creative. That's like the whole theme of the film.
This one is just like, you can be whatever you want.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but
that's not like revolutionary.
Still, anyways, the direction I thought was amazing, and the screenplay, I thought her and Noah Baumbach did a really good job. I want to know what Noah Baumbach put into the script and what Greta put into the script.
Alan's entire character.
Noah Baumbach's like, guys.
They're like hey, what else can we pull from the IP?
Well,
Alan's a character.
Well, like Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach are partners. So like, are they just like sitting at their house like at 3 a.m.? Greta's just on her laptop like, man, this script's just like, I don't know if I can do this. And Noah just like comes in with like a cup of coffee and is like, you know who we should put in? Alan.
He's got like an entire corkboard with like the lines crossing like pictures. Like, it's missing
something. Who do we
something.
put
it's
in from the Barbie canon?
Michael Cera as Alan.
Michael. Okay, this actually goes into another big part of why I love this film is the casting. All the Barbies and all the Kens. I thought everyone was shooting on 100%, like 110% even, just knocking it out of the park with the performances.
Yeah, Margot looks like Barbie.
Well, they even make that a joke in the film.
Yeah, they do.
So, like, her, Ryan Gosling, amazing. I thought they were perfect. Like, Ryan Gosling was born to play Ken.
Okay.
You just stared at me. You just.
Well, I mean, okay.
I think he was. Well, like, 'cause he's got that such, like, I mean, of course.
The only other depiction of Ken I've seen is from Toy Story 3. So.
Oh, Ken rankings. What would you rank above who?
I don't. The Ken from Toy Story 3 is really great. Come on.
Yeah. But is he,
Margot definitely eclipses the Barbie from Toy Story 3.
What if they had,
or like the Toy Story
what if
series.
Margot Robbie, they go in, do Toy Story 3, and they're like, sorry, Barbie, who played Barbie in the
Sorry,
Toy Story
Barbie,
3.
you're a human now. You're not a toy.
They were just like, let's replace, whoever played Barbie. Let me find it out right here. Give me a second. But they were like, I'm replacing you, and they redubbed it with Margot Robbie's voice, but kept Michael Keaton as Ken. Would Toy Story 3
That was Michael Keaton?
Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah, it's Michael Keaton. Jodie Benson played Barbie. She was also the voice of Ariel in The Little Mermaid.
All right, that tracks.
So,
makes sense.
But, like, they just redub it with Margot Robbie. Would it be a better movie?
I don't know about that. I mean,
what if, okay, now here's the reversal. What if they made Barbie, but instead of Ryan Gosling, it was Michael Keaton?
Now that's a movie. That would be 10 times better.
What if they missed the opportunity? This is going into a little bit of spoiler territory right now.
I already spoiled a couple things. It's okay. They've
fine.
seen the movie.
Hopefully you have. Hopefully you did the Barbenheimer double
They saw
feature.
it all in like 6 hours, both of them.
Yeah, that's what I did. Why doesn't everyone else do it?
That's what most people did, right?
Yeah. Well, like, what was it, 20,000 tickets? Or 20,000, like, AMC Stubs members. Like, AMC reported.
Got both of them.
Got both of them for the same day. But what, the, like, Sugar Daddy Ken, what if that was played by Michael Keaton? I think it would have worked. Greta missed an opportunity there. But
I like the references to like the actual discontinued Barbies.
Yeah, I did too.
Like, really funny. Good idea to throw them in there.
Well, I love that it was also Weird Barbie that united them. And speaking of Weird Barbie, honestly, one of the most standout performances I think of the film was Kate McKinnon.
Yes,
as Weird Barbie.
Kate McKinnon's awesome.
So
she needs to be in more stuff. She's great.
Well, I think she did like a Tiger King, like, series. It was weird.
Really? Was it that animated show?
No. She did a Tiger King series for Peacock. She like just the most random ass thing. Like she played Carol in the Tiger King doc.
Sure, why not?
She needs more stuff like this.
Well, she probably was the best part of whatever that was.
Probably. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But because it was on Peacock.
Well,
Like, why would I? I do have Peacock subscription, though. Maybe I'll watch it. I'll check it out.
You have one and you're dissing people? Okay, never mind.
I bought it for the Ryan Johnson show, okay? But, Kate McKinnon, great part of this. I also thought that another standout was Rhea Perlman as the spirit of the Barbie creator, as well as Michael Cera.
Her ghost is in an office on the 17th floor.
That to me was like a weird joke. But
yeah, the whole thing is similar parallels with the Lego movie, straight up with Will Ferrell's presence too.
Yeah.
I'm kind of mixed on it. I could have seen a Barbie movie that had no reference to the real world, to be honest. That would have been fine too.
But I think though that
I get what they're going for.
Yeah, I get but I still think, like, would you have rather wanted this movie, or would you have wanted just like a normal Barbie and Ken, kind of like those direct-to-DVD videos?
Well, they've done tons of those, and then yeah.
But like that's what it would have been.
Yeah, I guess that makes it new ground for Barbie.
Yeah, that's what but yeah, Michael Cera.
Yeah, he's there. Alan
is he's there.
That's my assessment. Yeah.
Yeah, he is just Alan, but I think he had like, I love that they made him a badass, kind of. Like come on. He took on all those Kens.
Okay.
Come on. He
was fighting for their escape, and then they just turn around and go the other way.
Well,
they didn't even leave. They're like, we got to go back.
So
actually.
after the screening of Oppenheimer that we went to B-dubs, and I forgot, one of our friends said that there's a line in it that all the Allens that are in the world all came from Barbie Land.
Right.
Like, that is so weird. but I do think in that same scene it has one of the funniest jokes of the entire movie where he's like, once they learn to build that wall sideways and not just straight up, and it cuts, and they're just laying bricks like like a Jenga thing. It's like that one got like a huge laugh out of me, but like, jeez, I keep hitting this mic, but
reel it in, bud.
Okay, fine. Jeez, okay, fine. But the biggest thing of Barbie that I loved the most, the soundtrack.
Yeah, pretty good.
It's a banger soundtrack. And I was talking to a friend.
You've been singing the Ken song all day.
Not all day.
Pretty much.
Not all day. What are you talking about? I'm just Ken though, because it's my song.
I'm just Ken.
Anywhere else I'd be a 10.
All right, don't continue.
Okay. But it is like another. I was talking to a friend of ours. Not gonna name names. But they couldn't be on the podcast today because they were working. You know who you are. But I was like, I compared it to, of all things, the Minions soundtrack from last year.
Yeah, because there's some through lines. Tame Impala.
Probably
Dua Lipa.
Maybe. Let me see.
If not, basically in spirit.
Yeah, kind of.
Pretty much. I love Dua Lipa though, and Tame Impala.
I love them both as well. But you know what they didn't have? They didn't have Cecilia sang by the Minions in Barbie, which missed opportunity. So, but I think I want to talk quickly, just a little bit more about the soundtrack, because I so full-heartedly believe that people should just get good producers to make these soundtracks. Because this soundtrack was produced by Mark Ronson, who did the Uptown Funk. You know, that's probably his most famous. And then Jack Antonoff from Bleachers, and who's produced like a bunch of Taylor Swift albums, did the Minions soundtrack. And both of them, banger soundtracks. So, I'm just saying, Hollywood. I know you're definitely listening to this podcast. Just put big name music producers, good producers,
but
to make soundtracks.
Sean, monies. You got to pay these people.
Pay Mark Ronson his
he's
weight in
probably
gold for making
the
this
big
Barbie
bucks,
soundtrack.
you know?
All right, but now comes. I think we've talked enough about Barbie, because I know you're just
what?
You're just
we're pivoting. Wait,
I feel like
hang on.
You're not saying
we didn't even get to the meat of it. Come on.
Okay, fine. What's the meat of Barbie then?
Like the whole messaging, you know, the point of the movie.
What's the point of the movie then?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot? I thought you were going to fill it in. Okay.
Oh, you just want me to fill it in?
Well, I mean, it's definitely about like smashing the patriarchy.
Okay.
Which is you know, there's some valid point. See, like watching the movie as a guy, like,
all right, guys, Trevor's gonna transfer into Joe Rogan here for a quick
No, I'm not. So like basically what I was thinking in my head as I was watching, like the first half of the movie is pretty much like women run everything in Barbie Land, and it, you know, all that stuff. And it's like you know, like and women should be in you know, places of power within society, but you know, they're not. But well, generally. But my whole thought was like, this is, you know, kind of digging at men a little bit. And then to my pleasant surprise, they get back to Ken's side of the story, and they do highlight some of the things that men have to deal with too. So it's not just a feminist movie. It, you know, they're showing both sides.
I'm just letting you roll.
Wouldn't you agree though?
What? Like, yeah, I mean,
like they show like
it's definitely like, you know, we're two white guys, just, you know, just straight white guys sitting here talking about it, but like it like
It's not.
I think a lot of people think that this is just a solely.
Oh well, everything's pink and it's a girly movie.
But I would agree there is some things that they do go to Ken's side and be like, because it is, I think, it's a deconstruction of the how like fragile male ego, because like all the Kens are just like, especially Ryan Gosling's Ken is just kind of a himbo,
blonde fragility.
Yeah, blonde himbo, doesn't really, like he acts like a child. Like there's that scene when Barbie's like trying to find her person that she was playing with her, and Ken's like, I'm just gonna go wander around. She's like, fine, you can do whatever. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go. And he starts like walking, and she goes, but don't go too far. And she's like, I won't. Like, so it's very much like I would agree. It is like, it's not just a solely like.
Yeah, my whole deal was like, if it's pushing all the like, feminist things, there's no point if they don't come back around and reconcile.
Mm-hmm.
But they do that. Like watching the movie, it did take a bit of time to get there, so I was kind of worried for a second. But starting with like the third act,
okay,
the whole Ken war and all that, and then but like Barbie and Ken reconcile, and they kind of see that like really at the end they both want respect,
Yeah.
Because any man or woman deserves respect.
Of course.
And equality, and I think that was a good way to do it. It's not just a feminist movie. There's more to it.
And I think that's why I think, in all honesty, I think it was actually really smart. I don't know who decided this, but it's kind of really smart that both Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig worked on the script, because I think both of them, as I said, working together was just kind of like perfect, like it could have really been Greta writes the Barbie parts and Noah writes the Ken parts. But I think there was a lot of collaboration, and I think it benefits the film that they collaborated.
Barbie Land definitely becomes a better place when they both kind of see each other's side, and they're like, okay, not every night has to be boys' night. Not every night has to be girls' night. There can be a little bit of both. Very nice.
Yeah. I would agree. It's definitely like, I know some people were probably very mad that this kind of where like, or at least where we are. I'm not gonna say where, but it definitely feel like some people were like, this is just is just a girl say men are bad movie, and it really kind of isn't.
Watching it did kind of. It took a while to get all these ideas tied up for me, at least, but it did it.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's why Barbie is like is probably in my top 10 of this year so far. Because it is one of, like I said, it's a indie film with big ideas and very simple themes.
Yeah.
But with a blockbuster paint all over it.
Yeah, so speaking to that, it's like pretty much the lesson here is that Barbie discovers that, well, first of all, Barbie decides that, she figures out that she has to figure out who she is on her own. And then she realized that message to Ken, and Ken's like, yeah, I do need to figure out who I am on my own. Great messaging there. Because, that's just how real life is. You got to figure out who you are on your own.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You can't be, like, too reliant on, like, Ken is all about the beach.
Yeah, his job is not surfing. It's definitely not lifeguard.
His whole personality is just beach. You can't live like that.
Whoa. Hold on. Give him some credit. His job is not lifeguard.
I like how he goes to the real world and he's like horses.
That is okay. Yeah, that also leads to another one of my favorite jokes, which is him sitting on the bed at the end, and she's like, "You made the patriarchy," and he goes, in all honesty, I like once I found out the patriarchy didn't involve horses, I kind of lost interest, and I'm like, damn, me too, though. Me too. I would rather, I would honestly rather politics should add more horses.
Sure. What do you mean? Like,
Just more horses.
well, back in the day, that's all that they didn't have cars, so horses were important.
They should add, but I feel like what if like the State of the Union address happened and the guy walks in and he goes, "Introducing the President of the United States," and opened the door and outrides Biden on a horse.
That I might actually watch.
I might watch the State of the and what if they had like a little horse cam in the bottom? Like
who was it? Like Nero that appointed his horse to the Senate.
What
in the Roman history?
No.
Well, okay. I think the historians are like that didn't actually happen. But
someone appointed their horse to their like cabinet.
Read about Roman history sometime. You'll get a kick out of it.
Nah.
Anyway.
I'm just Ken.
What
can I do?
So the messaging of like you can be whoever you want to be, it works because like Barbie's like a doctor, a lawyer, a astronaut, all that stuff. Yeah. And it's like that's a big thing to live up to.
And he's just Ken.
He's just Ken.
He's just really about to.
But really, they can be whoever they want to be.
Yeah.
And then that's not like the deepest message in the world. But I think the movie does a good enough job of eliciting some emotion out of you.
I think it works within the movie and the subject of the movie, and they kind of say it also of like, Barbie changed the world for women, like they're gonna thank Barbie.
And then the teenage girl's like, no, she didn't, not for me. It's like,
well, I mean, it's a and I think that is also another.
There's two ways of looking at it.
Exactly, and I think that's why it goes back to the indie film with a blockbuster paint. I'm glad that they let Greta Gerwig do her own thing, and not be like, oh, Mattel was like, yeah, you can make our CEO Will Ferrell and kind of a buffoon a little bit. And
whoever the actual CEO is like,
who is this? Let's see. What if I search up CEO of Mattel and it just comes up as Will Ferrell?
Well, that would be accurate, I guess.
It's some guy named Jan Kresk. He's an Israeli American businessman.
Man,
that is not Will
Ferrell.
That is not Will Ferrell.
There's a point to be made there. Yeah. So, I mean, the movie did a good job of like taking some moments and making them emotional. I mean, like the memory flashbacks and then seeing Margot tear up a little bit in her little cowboy outfit.
Yeah.
Or cowgirl outfit.
Yeah, get it right.
Well, yeah.
You're the problem,
I am. No, that actually made me kind of sad. I was like,
oh yeah.
I don't want to see Margot cry.
Yeah, you never want to see Margot
and
Robbie
the
cry.
the whole thing with the older lady who like created Barbie, played by.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Rhea Perlman. Well, I thought you were talking about the old lady at the bus stop in that same scene.
Oh, well, no, that's really beautiful. I like that.
Well, I love that also. Like, just there's that one line that Barbie says. I'm pretty sure where she's like, "Well, you're so beautiful." It's like. Yeah, like I think that's where I think the creator of Barbie was like, this is going to empower women, and and of course it went to the corporate side. Like they started, going this and this and this and this and then,
to tie it into Oppenheimer, the Cold War happens, everyone gets jaded. They don't see it the same way. You know what I'm saying?
Man. So what you're saying?
Flips it on its head instead of empowering. It's like, these are unrealistic standards.
What you are saying then is, if the Cold War didn't happen, our society would have been perfect because of Barbie.
I'm not saying that is necessarily true, but it's possible. I'm just kidding. You know what I mean.
You know what makes society better? More horses.
Good point. The last, pretty much the last thing I wanted to say though.
Mm-hmm.
So like it being Mattel, a big corporation, who, I mean, they make jokes about it in the movie, like, oh, this will make money. Okay, do it.
Well,
so like,
what is it? The Ken's dream house, the Mojo Dojo Casa House, and then they cut to the.
I'm sure that would sell, but like
they're selling all over.
When at the end when they're like, just make like an ordinary Barbie who isn't like an astronaut or a lawyer or something, and they're like, Will Ferrell's like, no, and then the guy in the tablet's like, no, that'll make money. He's like, okay, do it,
do it.
So like, I get like. It being a brand, Barbie, like owned by Mattel, a corporation, in capitalist America, pushing out a movie, all the messaging is kind of cheapened a little bit because it's a big brand making money off of you.
Oh, and their marketing. Have you seen all the marketing that they've done? You can buy the roller skates, and they're $180.
Yeah, that like if you're gonna say you can be whatever you want, make the rollerblades cheaper. You know what I mean? Make them more affordable, okay? Under $80 for rollerblades. So that's my super cynical, jaded take on that.
Your cynical take is, if the movie says it.
I saw Oppenheimer first, okay?
That is true.
Maybe it made me think differently.
That is true. I saw Barbie first, so maybe that's why I'm like, come on, Barbie.
I kind of have a point, right?
Huh?
Like, I kind of have a point with that.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't. I definitely think they should not be $180 for rollerblades
from a Barbie movie.
Yeah, it's like, of course I understand it's cross promotion, but like,
actually,
god damn,
we should have went to Target as research for this and see how much like all the Barbie stuff is. Like $35. It's like, mommy, I want the Barbie, and it's like, no, we can't afford that.
Hold on, let me look up. I'm going to Amazon because I know Amazon is like got a bunch of stuff.
Because like the movie is very fun, but when you think about stuff like that, it kind of makes it less fun.
Yeah, well, there's a Hot Wheels RC Barbie Corvette.
How much is it?
It is $54.
Seriously?
It is $54.99.
I mean, come on.
Then there is Little People. You know the Little People like toys?
Mm-hmm.
They have a 4-pack. This is the full title of it. Little People Collector Barbie, the movie special edition set in display gift packaging.
Oh my gosh.
For adults and fans. 4 figures.
And how much?
It is $24.99.
Okay, that's a little bit better. But
yeah, but still, you just get the American Ferrera character, which I can't remember her name. What was her name? Gloria. You get Gloria, Barbie,
Alan,
Ken, and the President Barbie.
Not Alan.
Not Alan, sadly.
No one wants Alan.
The Ken doll, his little like surfer outfit.
Mm-hmm.
The doll is $29.99.
That's a lot.
That's a lot for a Barbie doll, especially since I bought a Ken doll yesterday for our theater to like pose.
How much did you pay for it?
$4.99.
Okay, you found a cheap one.
I found a really cheap. Of course, I found the cheap one, but like,
was it like standard size?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's but like I get what you're. Oh, sorry, I just got totally sidetracked. I'm on Amazon right now, and The Flash appeared. It said Prime Video. I'm like, damn, that went to streaming quick. But
yeah, it's been a couple weeks. Anyway.
But anyways, back to Barbie. Like, yeah, I totally get your statement about the whole like capitalistic society.
It's hard to take a movie that's obviously pushed out by like Mattel and like Warner Brothers.
Yes, it's Warner.
So,
Oh no, I understand. But this is kind of been a great marketing. It's a great marketing tactic though. So
their decision to not move the release date was genius, obviously.
Yeah, did you hear the reports? Did you read the reports about why they chose this date?
They were trying to do that to get back at Chris Nolan for Warner Brothers, basically. Yeah.
Like, that is the ultimate, like...
That did not work.
That genuinely was just, like, a big, like, middle finger to Christopher Nolan, it felt like.
And it backfired.
And it...
I mean, probably Barbie is still doing better than Oppenheimer. But
Barbie is. Have you seen the numbers?
Hit me with the numbers.
Okay, so let me pull them up. Give me a second.
Pull up that clip.
Pull up that clip, Jamie. All right, so the Barbie movie from Box Office Mojo. Okay, so. Sorry, I'm laughing at the Box Office Mojo's description of Barbie. It's Barbie suffers a crisis that leads her to question her world and her existence. But
I mean, that's kind of the plot of the movie.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes sense. But currently, the domestic gross is 70 million or 7.5 or $70.5 million
from
that
like 2 days.
3 days.
3 days.
Thursday, Friday, and today. I just gave away the day we record, but that's fine. And Oppenheimer. I always spell it wrong, so give me a second. Oppenheimer has made 33 million.
People aren't doing the double feature as much.
Well, I mean, I think the double. I feel like we should go into the double feature later, but my whole take is like, you also gotta remember Barbie's more geared towards children and like.
What do you mean, Sean? You gotta expose your children to the horrors of nuclear war at a young age, or they won't understand. They won't understand otherwise.
You though?
I'm kidding, of course.
Yeah, no, it's and that's why it's because it's Barbie, and like little girls are gonna be like, oh my god, it's Barbie, let's go, woo! And I mean, so
overall, Barbie is fun. It's got some moments of heart.
Oh yeah,
that work. Me being super jaded, I guess it doesn't work. But yeah. Like, I like the whole messaging. Ken and Barbie like actually reconcile. Like, if they didn't have that and it was just full on like feminism without taking into account the other stuff,
I think it would get a lot of criticism from like a lot of
right.
It would be. I feel like it would be a very big split of like all the men reviewers being like, "What the hell? What?
All the Kens.
All the Kens." It just becomes the critics, like whole circle of critics, just becomes the.
Hi,
Barbie
I'm Ken.
world.
I'm a critic, and
I mean, there is a movie critic Ken though. The whole
I'm
Godfather.
sure there is.
No, the Godfather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they kind of labeled that as like explaining like movies like that. I get, we're Kens if we're on a podcast about movies, but it's like why is that like strictly coded as a Ken activity and not a Barbie activity?
I think it's because it's I was gonna say Garfield there for a second. I don't know why.
I think you have. I don't know.
I think it's because it's the Godfather, and like the Godfather is a film bro. Like,
well, speaking of, hopefully this weekend got some people to go see movies they wouldn't normally see. Like,
what do you mean?
Like,
the film bros going to see Barbie, or
yeah, like film bros going to see Barbie. I don't even girls who wouldn't normally see like an action film or a very serious dark Christopher Nolan film. Hopefully they went and saw that. Hopefully there was a lot of crossover because that's really cool.
I hope there was a lot of crossover as well. But yeah, the Barbie was great. It's fun. But you know what else is fun? The threat of nuclear war.
Yeah.
Yay. So the second, if we talked about the bar in Barbenheimer, we might as well talk about the Heimer, which is Oppenheimer.
Yes.
You're just staring at me.
Yeah, that was the plan. So let's.
All right. So, yes,
lead us
Oppenheimer is what? I didn't write this down, man. I don't.
Well, So the first shot of the movie is not Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer. It's Robert Downey Jr. as Louis Strauss, in black and white.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I forgot about that.
There's
a lot of movie there. So
that first shot of just Robert Downey Jr.'s face is just good. It looks good. And black and white is just his face.
Oh yeah.
and he's just like chilling there, and then it's like, actually, that's something to bring. So like that has, like the words on screen. It's like one fission.
Yeah, actually, I was
actually
gonna ask
don't.
you that
I don't. How did that tie into anything? I don't really.
I have no clue.
Was that like telling you like the chapters or the acts of the movie or something?
That's what I thought. But they only do 2, I thought.
I think there's 3. It's like
there?
fission, something like fusion, and then that's why I don't remember.
See, that's all I could think of.
It was at the beginning of the 3-hour film.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as Oppenheimer is Christopher Nolan's newest film, and yeah, this I was talking to people. I don't know if this is my favorite Nolan, but it is up there.
Yeah, so I had this discussion with Zach, like, because we were talking about Chris Nolan films, and
Zach is a friend of ours. Yeah.
I actually don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
It was just some guy named Zach.
Well, okay. So I was talking to him about Chris Nolan films, and I was thinking, which movie is his best? And thinking about it really critically, I kind of came up with like Oppenheimer being up there and like The Prestige. I'd say that The Prestige is really good and not talked about a lot. Very good.
Yeah. Are you talking about like his like non-franchise films? Are you talking in that sense? Because like,
I mean, the only franchise films he's done is Batman.
Is the Batman? But I'm saying more like, is this Prestige? What is your like definition of Prestige? Is it
Prestige, the movie? That's what it's called. That's what it's called, Sean. You know, it's got.
I forgot he did that. Honestly,
David Bowie as.
Yeah, I know.
Nikola Tesla.
I know it. I just thought you were talking about like Prestige.
Because I thought Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Pre-Dark Knight.
I'm surprised they didn't. That's actually bring up a good point. Who would they have cast for Christian Bale? Because I feel like Christian Bale should have been in this movie. Like
just because he works with Chris Nolan a lot.
Yeah.
Well, Cillian Murphy finally gets a leading role, which he definitely like.
He proved himself in 28 Days.
He's in that movie. Of course, he's the lead in Peaky Blinders, the show.
Never seen Peaky Blinders.
I started watching it a little bit. It's good.
Okay. I'll take your recommendation.
I didn't get like super deep into it, but he's finally like a lead role in a Chris Nolan film. He's always a supporting character.
How many Chris Nolan movies has he done?
I think there's like 11 now.
Or with Cillian Murphy.
Oh, with Cillian?
Yeah, I think
at least like 5 or 6.
Because he's in all the Batman movies as
the Scarecrow.
So there's 3 right there.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess he's in all 3.
Yeah, because he's in Batman Begins.
Not very much in the.
He has a cameo.
Second 2.
He has a cameo in Dark Knight. It says, and then he's the like whole like
basically another cameo in the third one.
But he's there. He's acted.
Yeah, he's there.
And I'm not seeing anything else besides. Oh wait, no, he was in Inception as well.
Yeah.
So there's 4. Then he was in Dunkirk.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5. So this is his 6th outing with Christopher Nolan, and finally he has the leading role.
Cillian Murphy, he's not an exact match, but he generally looks like Oppenheimer in real life.
I thought
the way he delivers the speech is the way Oppenheimer talked, like watching interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
He's got his like cadence down.
Well, yeah, I think like I'm looking at the Oppenheimer Wikipedia page, and there is a Wikipedia page for Barbenheimer now.
See, it's a cultural phenomenon.
In the picture is just of a Barbie and the actual Oppenheimer, like right next to each other, which is so funny to me. But yeah, I don't even know what I was about to say because that just threw me.
Cillian sounds the part. He looks the part.
Yeah.
He acts the part.
Well,
he's a beast in this movie.
He has to because it's a historical drama.
He's
the main character.
And he's playing a very complex human being.
Well, I think like because have you seen pictures of like Matt Damon's General Groves? Like,
yeah, that's not like he doesn't really look like him at all.
Like even Kitty Oppenheimer, Emily Blunt does not look like her. But Cillian Murphy, like I feel like he has to like somewhat.
He's got like
resemble.
the right cheekbones or something.
Yeah. Like even.
I mean, it's not like he looks like him exactly or anything, but.
Yeah, but I mean, it has to be close enough to be like, that's Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like Rami Malek, who is in Oppenheimer, played the Queen Freddie Mercury, thank you. I totally just blanked on his name.
He definitely looks like him.
But like and that's I think why he won Best Actor is because he was so like got the mannerisms down and like looked like him. Yeah. So like the whole
Cillian deserves some kind of award for this movie.
I don't know if he deserves, but he definitely deserves to be nominated. We'll get into it. We'll get into it at the end.
Yeah, we'll get into the end.
But yeah, no, this movie I thought had a great cast that Nolan was able to play around with.
Yeah, RDJ.
Oh my god, RDJ. One of his finals, like, I don't know if it's his final scene, but it's one of his scenes where he's just like yelling is so good. And like, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, any character like yelling, like, there's some build up to it in this movie. Like,
I think like
takes its time to get to the yelling. And
I have a
great.
very like I have a very like half baked theory that like if you cannot act, if you are like a bad yelling actor, you just can't act. Because like like Adam Driver in Marriage Story is the thing that comes to mind, where he's like, every day I wake up and I wish you were dead. Yeah, that like
you're just dunking on. Oh, you're saying he was good.
No, I thought it was I thought it was a great like scene because you can feel the emotion.
Yeah,
and like people being now I'm getting into like acting school. I'm not an acting professor or anything, but like I think like that conveys a lot of emotion. You have to have a person. You have to feel.
Cillian
that
acts with his face so good in this movie. He'll be like you won't be smiling or frowning or anything. Just with his eyes.
Oh yeah,
the emotion is conveyed. You know the feeling of the scene.
Well, yeah, and I think like there's not really a scene where he yells in this. I don't think.
No,
But anyways, like RDJ yelling, I'm like, that is believable. Like you can feel his blood starting to boil after the whole like hearing that whole section happens. So, yeah, I thought RDJ was great. Damon has a really good yelling scene too.
Yeah, he does.
Where the guy's like, "Why would I even?" He's like, "Because this is like
the most important thing that's ever happened.
The most important fucking thing that's happened in American history." And it's like, "Oh, okay, Matt Damon, okay." And Cillian Murphy's just standing there like staring.
He's like, "Yep, he's right."
Yeah. But
this is probably my favorite Matt Damon performance.
Really?
Well, I'm generally not like a huge Matt Damon guy.
Okay.
So
I'm a fan of Matt
this
Damon.
movie he did really great. Cuz
rank okay, I'm going to give you 3 Matt Damon performances.
Sure.
Oppenheimer, Good Will Hunting, Team America.
Okay, well, Team America's last.
Oh, man.
So another one of those classic movies I haven't really seen, Good Will Hunting. I've seen parts of it. I know his performance is great in that movie.
I feel like if you see, you know what, I'm going to give you another little assignment because I like giving you assignments. Watch Good Will Hunting, and then next podcast we'll talk about it.
The next one?
I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it
in the future sometime.
Yeah.
We'll
talk about Good Will Hunting in the future. So just watch it.
I'll say the other two are tied because I haven't seen Good Will Hunting. He's great in Oppenheimer. So.
What's the other two that you've seen?
I don't want to get sidetracked with Matt Damon movies.
No,
but
we're going sidetrack.
No,
Matt Damon movies.
The Martian.
The Martian's amazing though.
The Martian's good, but
he's the leading man.
He's not acting against anyone for most of that movie.
According to Letterboxd, I have seen 16 Matt Damon movies. Some of them are cameos, though. Because his top 4 include Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder.
Oh,
and that is not him.
That's a cameo. Anyway, I thought he was great in this movie. A big pillar of this movie is the relationship between Groves and Oppenheimer.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think
they come from the opposite sides of the political spectrum, more or less, and they are still they still respect each other, and that's a big part of the movie right there, and it's just so satisfying to see two
people
great,
on opposite sides of the political spectrum.
They see where they're coming from, and they know they got a job to do, and they kind of set aside their differences, and it's just.
You want to get into
because Groves is the one who hired.
Right now?
Groves is the one who
change this into a American political podcast.
No, we're talking about Groves is the one who appointed Oppenheimer as part of the project in the first place. So,
well, there's that scene where he's like, "I wouldn't have appointed any of them due to these new guidelines or whatever," and it's
most of the
knew what was right.
Most of the movie is framed around the way the government got suspicious of Oppenheimer for being a communist.
Yeah.
For being too left leaning.
That's what I like is I think it kind of feeds into the whole Nolan time themes that he likes to play with his movies. I mean, I really like that it's basically the thing that connects all this is this separate trial of Oppenheimer, and then it's not even a trial, it's like a hearing, a private hearing of Oppenheimer, and then the public hearing of Strauss.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was
there's a lot of time jumping in this movie, and they'll say something and then you see it happen too.
Yeah. I think that goes in with the pacing.
Yeah.
And how
I love how he used the black and white scenes to kind of show this is happening at a different point in time versus the other parts of the story. And then
I don't think that
it's doing more than one thing, because I think it's showing Strauss's point of view.
Okay. I can see
but it's also saying this is not happening at the same time. And then it kind of converges somewhere in the middle. And then you when they're sitting around the table.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because all the part of the
switches.
Everyone in the committee is on the table.
With Dane DeHaan's character.
Yeah, and Nichols.
Yeah.
And the other guys there.
David. There's a lot of people in this.
So
there's a lot of people. I feel like we should just read a list of these people.
Well, I just like how the black and white camera work is servicing the story, and it's doing more than one thing at a time.
Oh yeah.
It's doing multiple things.
And like I said, this goes in with the pacing, and I think this also goes with the story structure, because time jumps, if you get them right, they're good. But a lot of the times, they are just bad. And so I really like that there isn't... I wasn't confused.
Yeah, it jumps around a lot. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of faces. But the way the movie is directed, you don't get confused.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, sometimes they even remind you of stuff that they don't really need to. A couple times, they'll say Niels Bohr or something, and then they'll show the actor that played him in the movie for a second, and then it goes back to the scene. It's that was just to remind the audience who that even was.
Oh yeah, that's kind of.
So did you need that? No. But
what if
throughout the movie you're reminded of
what
stuff?
What if they did the Barbie thing where they added little quips in, the whole Helen Mirren just was in both of these and was
editor's note. Oppenheimer was
Yeah. Niels Bohr is played by Kenneth Branagh in this film.
Just in case you forgot.
Yeah. On to the show.
He
goes back and he's just I'm the destroyer of worlds.
I mean, he does that by showing you without telling you.
Oh yeah.
So that
it's show not tell, and that's basic filmmaking.
Yeah, there's a couple of times where it's okay, I didn't need to be reminded of that, but I'm sure someone did.
I mean, it's a 3-hour movie.
Yeah. I was locked in the whole time.
I was too.
If it was 5 hours, I would have been I would have been
okay,
happy.
maybe not that insane, but
I was totally captivated by the movie.
yeah. Well, I think I read one of our friends from work. They wrote on their thing on their review. It could have been told in 2.5 hours, and I
Where do you make the cuts?
agree with it, but I really like that it's 3 hours because where I think the cuts would have come from was going to be cutting out like the dinner scene. It would have cut out some of Strauss's stuff. I think they could have excuse me. I think that the whole like Strauss plot line would have just been cut if they had to get it down to 2.5 hours.
Then it would be a much worse movie.
Exactly.
I don't see where you'd make the cuts. Honestly, the movie is pretty fast paced.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. But I'm just saying, I think they would have cut the Strauss parts because then it's, it makes it lean to be focused solely on Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I mean, the movie's pretty fast paced. It slows down when it needs to. I mean, it's trying to tell a person's like entire life in a 3-hour movie. It's kind of hard to do. So
yeah,
more,
but not really though.
Like maybe his working career.
It's his working career more than his life because I mean,
yeah,
like it you get glimpses.
He starts
of his life.
it's the first. You see him as like a student in college at first.
Yeah, but that's still like his work. But then like you see him with Florence Pugh's character, and it's like, oh, why are we? It's almost like why are we seeing this? But it adds to the story because it's, she was a known communist.
Yeah.
So like him being with her adds to his work and his career. Because like if it was focused on his life, you would have seen him. I think this is a big part of why I think it's more of his work and his career than of his life, is because there's the shot of, or it's the short, like it's like a minute long, and it's him walking with Groves in Los Alamos, and Groves goes like, first year we were here we had 60 babies born, and now it's like 10 a month or something like that, and he's like, he says something about birth control, and as they're walking he sees Kitty and she's pregnant. Like if it was about his life, there have been like a 5-minute scene with him and Kitty talking about like their children.
Well, I guess with his aspects of his life versus his working career, it does get into like his love life, because that's important to the story. Because
I think it's also like I said, I think it's important because we see Florence Pugh's character Jean. She's a known communist, and because of that,
the government is like, you a commie.
Exactly, and like he knocks up. I shouldn't say he basically knocks up Kitty before her,
Well, then
her divorce, and then it's kind of just adding to be like, oh, he might not be the most trustworthy guy.
The movie does a great job of not glorifying him.
Yeah,
he's a flawed man. I mean, he cheats on his wife.
Oh yeah,
for one thing.
Exactly.
And like he doesn't take a strong stance on anything either. He's a smart guy. He's an intellectual. But like he doesn't want to subscribe to any ideology or anything like that. He tries to stay neutral, and then he starts doing. He gets influenced by the communist ideals a little bit, and he's a professor in college, and then the other professor is very conservative.
Oh yeah.
So he keeps telling him like, "Hey,
but you
can't have these."
Like I said, that's his life.
Yeah.
So I mean I agree with your whole statement of like it shows that he was a flawed man, because honestly, it's it's weird to say, but like if this was just about like his life and it was sugar coated, we would go, oh yeah, the dropping of the nuclear bomb.
He was a
fine.
great patriot.
Yeah, he's but like there's a lot of times in this movie where you're like, holy shit, he really did like kill thousands because of his creation. And it almost feels like he has the guilt, but there's something deep inside him that's like, I did what I was told to do.
I mean, the whole deal is like, if you don't make the bomb, the Nazis will. Yeah. And then they defeat the Nazi Germany loses, and Japan is still fighting. And it's like, well, if you drop the bomb, it will end the war. But if you don't, then it's going to be like a slow invasion of Japan, and more lives will be lost that way.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely brings up morals and like ideologies and.
Yeah, and like
it's definitely not Barbie, where it's like, you know, oh cool, it's a little blockbuster.
You can be whoever you want.
Yeah, a little deep, but this is like genuinely like, this is something that.
And something you kind of realize going, especially into the third act when he's being hounded by these people interrogating him, is like through all this he didn't really have a choice.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, exactly. He was picked. And I think also he knew at the same time, because I mean that the Benny Safdie character, Teller, is like, I'm leaving.
He's a big part of the movie.
Yeah,
kind of having
he's a big part, which is weird because like I'm gonna say there's so many people in this, and I think they're like Barbie, they are like shooting 100%. They're like, we're going to be doing this. We're going to put everything we can into this performance. And I even like the small side characters. Kath Brownell's Neil Bohr, Casey Affleck's like general character. Even Rami Malek, who literally doesn't speak until about the 2 hour 20-minute mark or something like that.
Yeah.
David Dastmalchian, he's in it for very little. And I don't know why, but I was thinking about this and I'm like, I feel like Christopher Nolan almost has the kind of like reputation of like a Wes Anderson. And let me explain. I know it sounds weird, but it's like Wes Anderson. This movie feels like Wes Anderson. He can get like the most highest A-list actor in for like 4 minutes. And you're like, like Asteroid City has Margot Robbie in it, and she's only in there for like 6 minutes. But everyone's like, oh, wow, Margot Robbie was amazing in Asteroid City.
Well, if we're going to compare it to his previous, like Tenet only had like 4 or 5 characters.
Yeah.
So.
But like.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But this feels like a Wes Anderson cast.
Side character who is really, really has maybe some of the best lines in the movie is Albert Einstein.
Yeah, he does.
Because, well, a big part of it is like Strauss sees Oppenheimer and Einstein talking, and Strauss gets like offended. He feels like Oppenheimer said something to turn Einstein like to not like him.
Yeah, exactly.
And you like towards the end, you actually get to hear what he said. Mm-hmm. And what he says is like really powerful, like good stuff.
Oh my God. If we're going to talk about that last scene, I am so happy because you can even attest to this. I was saying that the last scene of the movie was going to be him on television or him being filmed. And he was going to say his, the line, I am death.
They do reference that.
They do reference it in like kind of a weird scene to reference it though, when he's just like him and Florence Pugh are just like, in the middle of it, just, she's like, read this.
I was very surprised by Florence Pugh's presence in the film. That's all I'll say.
She's clothed like 20% of the time, her screen time, and the rest she's just, burying it all. But it is weird that she's on the poster to me though. Like
which one? Oh, like her name?
Her name's on the poster, and it's like, I get why you're putting her name on there, but like, She plays kind of a small side role.
Her role is mostly done in like the first act.
First and second act, leading into the second act. But I really honestly I would have put like Casey Affleck on the poster or Benny Safdie on the poster. Like they had bigger roles.
Yeah.
Hell, even Jason Clarke's character, Roger Robb, like
Jason Clarke did it great in this movie.
He was. I mean, the performances of this movie, like I said, they're all just shooting 100. Because like, you don't get someone like Gary Oldman, and this goes back to the whole Wes Anderson thing. Like,
who was Gary Oldman in this movie? I don't even remember.
Harry S. Truman. He played Truman. Yes, he played Truman.
Is he like just a lot older than I remember him being?
Well, even you said the makeup, the old
Gary Oldman. He's really old now.
All right, guys.
It's in his name.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't even realize that was him.
No, but even you said to me
they have Harry S. Truman in this movie.
Yeah.
He
was the president at the time.
Yeah, I know, but I like the one line. He's like, oh, here's a thing to bring up how Oppenheimer is kind of flawed. So like, and they just paint him as he was pretty much. So Truman is like, all right, well, what do you plan on doing with Los Alamos now? And he's like, well, and then Oppenheimer's like, well, give it back to the Indians. And they just look at him like,
no. Yeah.
What do you mean? But then it's like, wait a second. They just tested a nuclear bomb at Los Alamos. Why would they want to give it back to the Indians when it's a radioactive test site?
I mean,
it's like, hang on here.
I don't think he was. Maybe I don't.
That's
know.
A little short-sighted of him, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
he's
a little bit
flawed. Okay,
but at the same time, I'm like, I didn't think of that until he brought that up. So
I know. I thought of that as soon as he said that. It's like, well, they don't want it now. There's a nuclear bomb tested there.
Well, like, okay, fair.
How would you like if someone steals your land,
then just
does a nuclear bomb on it, and they're like, you can have it back. You wouldn't want it back.
That's true. Yeah. I guess.
Well, speaking of the bomb test, so that is like the culmination of the first two acts.
Yes.
And it builds up to it, and it is so good.
And then there's a whole other hour of film left.
There's a whole hour after the actual bomb test, and that's just as good. Because you kind of see the aftermath of what happened after the war was over with Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And how he was hounded for being a communist.
Of course. I think that's like, and that's where going back to like the whole like, oh, could this film have been 2.5 hours? Yes, but I think we would lose a lot of that.
You'd miss
like aftermath.
Because like this movie is a lot of people's education on the life of Oppenheimer. Like
maybe not the best. Like,
well,
go read like a book on him or something.
Well, this entire movie's based on a book.
Oh yeah, well,
American Prometheus.
Yeah, I know it's based on American Prometheus, but like still.
Speaking of the at the very beginning. Oh, I guess RDJ's not the first shot. It's like a vision of fire, and then it says the quote about Prometheus was in mythology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think like honestly, to answer the question, did this have to be 3 hours? Yes. And I think because you would have Act 1 is pretty much the project being formed. It's like,
let's recruit some scientists.
Let's recruit. Act 2 is the building and detonation of the bomb, or the test of the bomb. And then the third is the aftermath. And I think that aftermath adds a lot to the story solely because, you see, it doesn't really say like Oppenheimer was a great guy. And I think that's why I like this movie, is that it's not Oppenheimer was a great guy.
He did what he had to do.
He did what he had to do. It was like
he did what he
there
was
was a lot of moral issues with it, and that's why I think like it's really great, and also the technical aspect of this film, which I want to get into.
Yeah.
So good.
One last thing before we turn off from the acting and the performances.
Mm-hmm.
When it's kind of revealed that RDJ's character is like not, well, spoiler alert, If you just in case you haven't seen it.
Just in case you weren't watching these.
Like RDJ's Louis Strauss, it turns out is not like an ally to Oppenheimer. He's actually like actively working against him.
Yeah.
And you kind of see that like going to the third act. He's using him for political gain to kind of prop himself up. And that kind of blew my mind because I was not seeing that coming. I mean, RDJ, he's a likable guy. You don't expect him to be like a kind of an antagonist. You know, I mean, he played Iron Man. Like, he's a, you know, for a long time. He's
I mean,
like
the
a
last
hero.
10 years of his career has been like
not being a bad guy. So, like, not knowing the actual history of some of these people, that reveal that he's kind of an antagonist was great.
Yeah, but I will say it also led to one of my favorite parts of the movie, which is the weird, like, I don't know. I genuinely still don't know how to put it. The weird Easter egg of JFK being in the movie.
Yeah. He's like, all right.
It's so
Strauss
funny.
is like, did we win the vote still? And he's like, no, there are a couple of people swung over to the other side. And he's like, who? And he's like, this upstart Massachusetts governor.
What's his name?
John
F. Kennedy. It's like, what?
Well,
to me, it gave the same vibe as the end credits, the end credit scene to the Kingsman that came out a few years ago. Where
it's not quite like that.
It kind of though is it's a name drop because like the Kingsman is just like, we have a new ally, and the guy walks in and it's like, what's his name? And he goes, my name is Adolf Hitler, and then it just ends. It's like,
what is this?
Wait,
Marvel?
What? Yeah, exactly. So to me, that JFK name drop was like that, where it's just like, I'm dropping a name from history.
Name dropping JFK does kind of make sense in context because Oppenheimer, of course, after the war is all about like let's not do nuclear war if we can do that. And then JFK had the whole Bay of Pigs situation.
Bay of Pigs and Cuban Missile Crisis and everything. And I know, I get why, but it's just like you're sitting there and it's like 2 hours.
This
and like
upstart Massachusetts governor.
It's literally like right near the end of the movie, and it's just like, what's his name? JFK.
I think that was actually
no one's about to make a JFK.
I feel like that was
kind
kind of supposed to be like a joke.
Yeah,
like to get like a reaction. That little part.
Yeah, but it still is really funny. So
yeah.
But anyways,
so it's a technical aspect. No CGI, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Everything was practical, man.
I do feel like there was a little bit of CGI, and that's just for the camera movements and stuff. But anyways, like I thought like the bomb looked amazing.
I mean, yeah. They must have done some kind of like miniature or something, or
supposedly it was like I read
combined
that he like did bunch of random science experiment to make it look like it.
I'm sure he had to do a lot of experimenting to make it.
Oh, definitely. But that's like the joys of filmmaking that I think, and honestly, to Barbie's credit as well, I'm very glad that they, these two movies, for what it's worth, these feel like conventional film or conventional films that are made by like very good filmmakers.
Yeah.
Because they really could have done the Barbie Dreamhouse in CGI. It could have just been Margot Robbie.
That movie could have looked terrible, man.
Exactly. But
and
no, they said, "Hey, we're going to build the sets of the Barbie Dreamhouses." Nolan basically made them build Los Alamos.
Yeah, I guess a big one thing you could be negative about Oppenheimer on. So there's Los Alamos, and then there's a lot of transitional spaces, right? Most of the movie does take place in one room.
Yeah,
you can make that argument, but there's still so much interesting camera work going on. You don't care.
Yeah,
and the dialogue's interesting and you're compelling. So.
Exactly. I think, like, the entire movie, I think that's supposed to be, like, going to, like, the whole... After the bomb dropped, the world didn't get bigger for Oppenheimer. Because I think, like, Oppenheimer thought, there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn. The world is wide open. And then after the bombs drop, it's like, well, shit. The world could end at any second, and it almost feels claustrophobic. And like, the sense of like this being gone or something like that is so.
Yeah, I like how they showed how he thinks. Like what's the one line? He's like he's tortured by like visions of a hidden world or something, and you see like those cuts to like the whirring, like particles and whatnot. All very cool stuff. It did make me one more negative. It did make me kind of disappointed they didn't like explain any physics much. I thought they would kind of get. I know it's a movie for general audiences.
Yeah.
They, if they spent all the time talking about the physics,
then it just adds.
It'd be like a 20-hour movie.
Exactly. I was gonna say,
but like they did a little bit, to be fair, when they were talking about like the construction of like how the bombs.
Exactly.
They did get into like how like the implosion.
They did as much as they needed to, is what I would say.
To detonate it.
Yeah, they did as much as they needed to basically
very brief, so you get the idea. They didn't get into like the meat of it, but like just seeing how like the way they use those images to like show how he thinks. I thought there was going to be like something about that later, and there kind of wasn't. So that's my one take about that.
Yeah, I would agree, but at the same time, I'm like, it's
looks cool, and
it works.
All that stuff
still.
is not
so.
not CGI, and it looks great.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
and the sound was amazing.
The sound I thought was honestly
rumbling in your seat in the theater.
Quick, because to wrap this up, I want to ask. When we wrap this up, I'm gonna ask another question.
Sure.
But kind of stepping on it, I genuinely think this will win Best Sound. And the
soundtrack
reason why,
too, hopefully.
I don't know about score.
Well, did we even say anything about Ludwig, our boy Ludwig?
Our boy Ludwig Göransson.
The soundtrack to this movie is beautiful. It's like haunting and complex because like the story is complex.
Yeah.
And it's like sour. There's some parts that are like really sad, and it just works really well.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna get nominated. I feel very strongly about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's gonna win Best Score because like
he's
like
gonna
I said
win
on
my
our
personal award. He's getting an award from me.
The Trevies.
But then you think about Albert's line about them giving medals. It's like they're not doing it for you; they're doing it for themselves.
Exactly.
Like,
damn.
I don't want to be giving out medals if it's really just for me.
Yeah. So he's definitely gonna get nominated.
Yeah, like I said, Albert had like two of the best lines. That line, and then also like, if you really love your country, tell them to go to hell.
Yeah.
That line,
great.
That was good.
But the technical, more about the technical though, is like, you brought up the makeup. I think the makeup to make them all look old was really good.
So there's a lot of we're spanning a big amount of time here in the story.
It's like 20 or from the start of it. It's like in the, what would you say, 20s?
So when he's like as a student in college, that would be like the 20s into the 30s.
It says here on the plot, it says 1926 is the year. And then it ends.
He still looks kind of old there, but he looks younger for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then
it ends in 1963. So that is a no, not 20. That's like
40, almost 40 years. 37 years.
37 years, yes. I think.
And they age him up for parts where he needs to look older, and all the supporting cast like Groves and that other professor had the room right next to his. I forget his name.
I just had it up. But Ernest Lawrence.
Yeah, they did a good job giving them some gray hair, making them look older.
It looks natural too.
Yeah, it looks really good. And then like especially at the end when they're kind of showing like Oppenheimer getting some medals eventually in like the 60s.
Like you can see.
Man, they made Killian look like an old man. Like he looks like he's 80 or something. Like
because
I don't even think he was. I don't think Oppenheimer was
80 at the time, but he was definitely older than Cillian Murphy.
The real life Oppenheimer died in 67.
I'm gonna look at Cillian Murphy. And he's gonna be like 38. No, he's 47. So
Yeah, Killian is 47, but they aged him up just right for scenes where they needed to. The makeup was on point. They did a great job with that. Like, so much, like, they could have used CGI or something, and they didn't, and I'm so glad they didn't.
Well, after that last scene, 4 years later,
flashbacks to Indiana Jones.
When that scene takes place in 63, 4 years later, Oppenheimer would be dead.
Yeah.
So, those grays are definitely working, and drawing me into the film. But the Oppenheimer was, I genuinely think, like Barbie, this is in my top 10, maybe my top 5.
Yeah. I mean, the effects were amazing. Like, he still has that, like, recurring, like, nightmare about, like, the bomb, and, like, when he's, like, pushed to the edge in those interrogation scenes, he, like imagines the room shaking and the blinding light.
After they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, like that, like, and that's why I think, like, it's gonna win sound. When the feet of the stomping.
Yeah.
Like, did you hear
it like became part of the soundtrack?
Yeah. Did you hear though? There was like a girl, like there was like a scream, like a blood curdling scream in there, and I was like, whoa.
That scene really hit hard because, like, he had to go up there on the podium and say what they all wanted to hear, even though that's not what he was feeling.
But, like, even just the whole sound drowns out.
Yeah.
Like, to me, good sound is not just, oh, this is really mixed well, but it's also like, where it's used. And that scene where basically no sound except his voice is used is so brilliant and so good, and the blinding white light that comes in, that is like one of my favorite scenes.
It goes into his most famous quote too, where he's like, some people were crying, some people were laughing.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Just a lot of,
I think though the best line of this film is the very last line. Because in like the first act, in the second act, they talk about how there is a chance that when they drop the bomb, the neutrons reactions will create a chain reaction
that just doesn't stop.
And it incinerates the entire atmosphere, and the world burns.
Yeah.
And actually, quick thing before it ends, that is another thing that I really liked about this, is that they created so much suspense with this movie. And I knew none of it was it was all going to work out in the end, but there was so much suspense. Like them building the bomb.
Well, work out for some.
Well, what I'm saying is they didn't, like, when they, like, lowered the
even them, like,
into the bomb.
He's like, be careful. Like,
yeah.
You could set off, like,
and it's like, whoa, they could actually do this. Or like when they're dropping it, it's like,
yeah, they didn't blow up the bomb by accident because it fell off a truck or anything.
Exactly. Like and the atmosphere didn't burn up when they dropped it because we're here.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, way to make something like that suspenseful.
But
it
like, was
is the atmosphere on fire? I don't think so.
Yeah, but that's so, like, masterful of suspense though, because, like, I think that is, for me, suspense. It's like
near zero.
Near zero.
Chances are near zero.
But I think, like, that is brilliant suspense when, like almost like in a horror movie when the killer is stalking the main character. It's like, it's 20 minutes in the movie. I know the main character isn't going to die, but it's still just super suspenseful. That's what it felt like to me with that whole thing, where it's like, I know the bomb's not going to light up the atmosphere, but goddamn, I am so, like, I'm hoping that they don't light up the atmosphere.
Because they all thought that was a possibility.
It was a near zero chance, but there was still a chance. But that last line where he's like, the calculations I gave you, and the world could have been,
the calculations could have said that it would cause the chain reaction.
And he's like, or like Einstein's like, I remember it well, like that kind of thing. And then he's like, I think it created a different chain reaction. and then it cuts to that shot that you kind of saw in the beginning, but all like the missile like streaks in the sky. It's like, damn, that's a killer last line, killer last image, man.
Because if the world ever does end in nuclear war, you can tie it back to that moment.
Exactly. You can exactly.
Pretty much any time going forward.
Anytime a missile that is like nuclear is used, it's because of him. And it's because, but yet it was celebrated at the time.
Yeah,
and it
that
was like,
can't be a good feeling.
So good. I thought that was just an awesome line to end on. It was, or not awesome, but just like it made me think a lot.
Just a couple random facts that I heard today.
Okay.
So like, well, a big part of the movie, like he's like towards the end, he's like advocating against like the H-bomb committees or whatever. It's like, because they were trying to make bombs even more powerful. Oh, I do like the line Teller gives where he's like, you know, what's next, or what, like the war is over. It's like, yeah, until they make a bigger bomb. And that's exactly what happened in real life, because in 1949 the Russians made a bigger bomb.
Exactly.
And like the crazy thing about that is like the biggest nuclear bomb ever tested, the Tsar Bomba or whatever, had like a yield like 20,000 times greater than the ones that they dropped on Japan.
Jeez.
So that's just some context for you.
That's crazy.
You can Google that.
I'm not, because I trust you, but
I might be wrong on the numbers, but you know what I mean. Like,
no, yeah,
significantly greater. That's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah, that is.
But that goes into the whole reason why this movie exists.
And why I think this movie is great.
Yeah.
So, but we've talked about Oppenheimer. We've talked about Barbie.
Two very different movies.
Two very different movies, but two very good movies. But I do want to quickly talk about the impact of this Barbenheimer weekend.
Yeah.
Because I saw a lot of people are using this as signaling that, quote, movies are back.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of things where it's like, and of course it's the big thing after COVID to be like, this movie is bringing people back to the movie theater, like Spider-Man, No Way Home.
Yeah.
It brought people back to the theaters. Even like early into the pandemic with Quiet Place 2, it was like, this movie is bringing back people to the theaters.
From my experience, that movie didn't bring anyone back.
But a lot of it's just like, it's like, oh, it's this event movie. Oh, okay, it's kind of died down. And I mean, we know this because we work in a movie theater.
We are in the know.
But I genuinely think that this, with like Spider-Verse coming out this year, and Guardians coming out, and even stuff coming up later in the year, I genuinely think this might be the signal that movies are back. And it kind of sucks that it's at a time where the SAG and WGA are on strike, because
anticlimactic.
Because in a year or two,
it's like the countdown for the bomb, and it stops at 1.
Exactly. And next year is not going to be as good because of this.
I mean, in the first episode we did, I kind of said how it wasn't super exciting year for movies, and that's how I felt kind of at the time.
Yeah.
But like, kind of built up to this weekend. Like this was the big weekend.
But even then, and that's why I wanted to bring up.
I was just thinking, because like I was, doing my rounds or whatever the other day, and I was thinking, man, we're showing Oppenheimer, we're showing Barbie, we're showing Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
That's another one.
We're showing Indiana Jones, which isn't as good, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And we're still showing Spider-Verse.
We enjoyed it.
And it's like, those are all really good movies.
Exactly.
We still had a show of Guardians, even though it's been months, a couple months.
People are still seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, they're good movies.
But I think and it's gonna suck because, and that's why I wanted to bring up at the beginning, Challengers got pushed back.
I see what you're doing. You're kind of tying it.
Yeah, there. Yeah. Oh, foreshadowing. If people get this far in the podcast, they're gonna be like, "Oh, I get it now." Why you brought it?
This one's probably longer, huh?
It is not our longest yet.
Really?
So,
okay.
but So, and that's what makes me really worried, is that they are going to use, like, movies feel back, but in next year, it's going to go downhill because, and we're seeing it now because
stuff's getting delayed.
Maybe
some cool indie films will fill in some slots.
I'm really looking forward to, because I think
could happen.
A24, all those indie production companies, they are allowing, like, SAG is allowing actors to be a part of those productions because they have like
some kind of agreement.
They've agreed to the terms that SAG has put forward. So, I mean, I was talking about it
this could be a good thing. Maybe.
I'm hoping that, first and foremost, that WGA.
Are we in the Cold War of movies? Hollywood Cold War? Cold War? Hollywood?
That might be a good analogy. Oppenheimer drops the bomb and it starts the Cold War. Oppenheimer comes out and starts the Cold War in Hollywood. Whoa.
It's like
parallel. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah. That's another movie meme for you.
Oh, that's such a George Lucas, man. He's gotta love him.
We'll have to talk about Star Wars at some point in the future.
No,
I got so many things to talk about with Star Wars. But anyway, continue.
But
sorry.
No, it's really interesting to see and, like, look at it and go, these two are big movies, but knowing that, like, Hollywood is kind of fucking over SAG and WGA, it's just like, damn, I'm hoping it all comes out, and I hope that they get fair wages, and I hope that movies can come back, and that's my whole, like, it genuinely is, like, it's a very frightening place right now, because it's like, we want these good movies, but at the same time, these people deserve fair wages.
Reminds me of, like, lockouts for sports. Like, when they did the NHL
didn't
shortened
MLB
season.
just have a lockout? Like,
MLB always has ones.
Okay.
No, I'm saying, like, the Players Association and, like, the league never get along in baseball, especially for some reason. Because, like, the league is super archaic in the way they do. Like, they didn't want to do all the rule changes they did this year. Not to talk about sports, but
this podcast all over the place.
Well, it's, tangentially related kind of thing. Well, I'm optimistic about the way things will go. Cuz, like, you can't stop, like, people making good art and putting movies out. Even if it's on a lower budget, or, like, they couldn't really do it the way they wanted. It's filmed in someone's backyard. They'll make it happen.
I have trust, and I hope that everything works out, mainly in the favor of SAG and WGA. And I hope that, this might be a changing tide for movies, honestly.
Everyone says, like, movie theaters are dying, but, like, they're not dead yet.
They're not dead yet.
They'll be like a zombie corpse. They'll never die.
Well, I can tell you, all the old people are going to come in and see movies. So
they'll see anything.
Yeah, they really will. So next week we're talking about Sound of Freedom, guy. Just like no, I'm not. I'm never gonna. I don't think I'll ever see Sound of Freedom. But quick to wrap this up, Oscar talk. What do you think? Do you think this is gonna be nominated for lead? I think both of them are gonna be nominated for Best Picture. I think if only one had to be nominated for Best Director, Nolan's going to be nominated. I could see Greta getting nominated as well. I can see Margot getting a Best Actress nominee.
Sure.
I can see Cillian and Ryan Gosling getting nominated for Best Actor.
Yeah. Production design,
Barbie. But even this, I can see getting a production design.
Yeah, Oppenheimer, too.
Because he had to build... Basically, he built Los Alamos.
Visual effects, Oppenheimer for sure.
Yes. Well, Tenet won Best Visual Effects his last film.
You know what? And that was... I know everyone kind of hated that movie. I did not. I liked it.
I liked it, too.
What a mind-blowing concept for a movie. Like reverse through time.
I remember seeing that with. We saw that together in like 2022.
That's definitely
not 2022, but we
definitely
saw
a theme with Nolan is like time is always the enemy. I feel like Oppenheimer didn't play up the time as much, but like that's like the counting clock that they're working against.
Exactly.
Is like the Nazis.
Exactly.
So it's still an element of the film.
Yeah, I could see them getting a lot of nominations for both of these.
Yeah.
But one that I'm kind of like, I'm still kind of on the fence with is Best Supporting Actor for Oppenheimer.
Matt Damon. RDJ, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. Is Matt Damon going to get it, or is RDJ going to get it?
Be nominated.
Or are they both going to be nominated? Is it going to be an Everything Everywhere?
They should just nominate the entire cast.
Just, you know what? Screw it. These two are the only ones at the Oscars.
And then also Simu Liu.
I don't think he's going to get nominated, but
it'd be
like in all honesty,
just like all these other guys in him.
Much.
Yeah, I know.
If they were to nominate someone for Barbie,
Michael Cera.
I was going to say Michael Cera, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
He's barely in the movie, too.
He plays a bigger role than Simu Liu, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, yeah. Supporting actress. Could you see Florence Pugh being nominated for supporting actress? Because I can see it, but I don't think they'll go for it.
I don't think she will for this movie in particular.
Okay. Because I can see American Ferrara. How do you pronounce it? The one in Barbie. Gloria and Barbie.
America Ferrera, I think.
I think I could see her getting nominated for like Best Supporting Actress.
Maybe Kate McKinnon. I don't know.
Maybe. But I think like her performance in this, because she has that big monologue scene where she's like,
yeah,
you have to be thin, but you can't be too thin.
They should do things like Best Monologue. Do they do that?
I don't know. They don't. Why would they do?
Because it's a thing.
I could see Greta and Noah getting nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay though. It'd be Nolan against Greta for like 3 categories.
Yeah, I think technical like film critic people will like Oppenheimer more.
I think so too.
It'll probably win.
But like this
awards.
is also just Hollywood.
Yeah.
So,
I will say that I enjoyed both movies.
Yeah.
And they're so different, it would be weird to compare them.
Of course.
I mean, Oppenheimer just checks all my interests. Chris Nolan, the way he shoots, the history, the story, all that.
Hoyt Van Hoytema is going to finally come back and get his Oscar nom for this, where he should have got an Oscar nom for Nope, which, by the way, came out a year ago today.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that's where I keep hitting this mic. I'm so sorry, guys, if it's picking it up. But tying Nope into Oppenheimer, Nope started the countdown. Remember?
Huh?
The Oppenheimer trailer was in front of Nope.
Oh, was that countdown like accurate to the second?
I know Universal for the past year has had a live stream of that teaser trailer, and it's been counting.
That's
down.
the way to do it. That's a good way to build hype for a movie that's mostly talking.
Yeah,
if we're being honest. But
I think it's gonna make its. Hopefully, it's gonna make its money back. I know Barbie's already made its money back. But yeah, no, these two were really good, and I think final question that we should end this on. Which way is the best way to see these? Is it the way I did it with Barbie, then Oppenheimer, or is it with Oppenheimer, then Barbie, like the way you did it?
Wow. Wow. Tough question.
I still think it's Barbie, Oppenheimer, and then Barbie again.
So we're on the other, like, we were opposite.
Yes.
And I didn't see them on the same day either.
Oh, you're right.
So how did it feel watching like 5.5 hours of movie in the same day? Completely different stories.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. And I still fully believe that it should be Barbie.
You also saw Barbie with friends. I saw Barbie alone today.
Oh no. We'll go see Barbie like soon. Me and you. We'll go see Barbie.
I still gotta take my dad to see like Indiana Jones too.
I gotta take my dad to see Oppenheimer.
Well, Yeah, I'm sure he'd be interested in Oppenheimer as well.
Oh, my dad doesn't care about Barbie.
He would be. He would not want to sit still for 3 hours though. I know that.
But I personally still think it's Barbie, then Oppenheimer, then Barbie again, because it's like
the Barbie sandwich.
The Barbie sandwich, yeah, exactly. Because then it's like Barbie, yay, fun.
I'll be
and
honest.
Then Oppenheimer just like death is all around us, and then you're like, man, I can't end the night on that.
As fun and goofy as Barbie is, I don't know if I'd want to watch it a bunch of times. I'm good with the one viewing.
I want to see
Oppenheimer. I would definitely watch again, but not like
in the theater.
Not soon. I mean, like I'll watch.
Fair.
That's honestly like, you know how I have a very limited collection of Blu-rays, whereas you have many.
You really just outed me on this.
Guilty as charged,
right
right?
now.
Well,
I did pick up 3 today. So.
My very limited collection of John Carpenter's 1982 sci-fi horror classic, The Thing.
Oh my god!
And that's it. I have a couple others, but that were like, I didn't buy them personally; like they were given to me. So,
yeah,
it's kind of a weird collection of movies. I would probably buy Oppenheimer on Blu-ray.
Okay.
Barbie, you know.
I would buy them both. And you want
Barbie? Why? I'm not. You know, I don't play with Barbies, so I'm just a Ken.
I'm just a Ken.
Actually,
best originals. Which song from Barbie is going to get nominated for best original song? Is it I'm Just a Ken or is it Dua Lipa's Dance the Night Away?
It's got to be I'm Just a Ken.
I think it's just I'm Just a Ken.
Love Dua Lipa.
If they want to if they want to do the like if they want to fuck up like they did in Encanto, where they nominated like not the We Don't Talk About Bruno song, then they will go for the Dua Lipa song. But I mean, come on. I just want to see a performance of I'm Just Ken at the
I'm rooting for Ludwig Göransson to win best soundtrack or whatever.
Best score.
Yeah, best score.
Best score. Yeah, I do too.
I'm really, cuz he's amazing.
I think he is too. But yeah, that's what it's been accumulating to. Barbenheimer.
What a great weekend.
It has been a great weekend.
The split shirts, the memes.
Oh, it's been beautiful. It's just solely been.
We need to do this more often. And I honestly hope that someone gets the idea to do a similar thing. Probably won't hit like the same, but the word of mouth advertising was just off the charts for these movies.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no. Barbenheimer, thought it was a good double feature, honestly. But what do we have next? What are we doing next?
That was kind of what I was wondering, because we kind of don't have anything like lined up necessarily.
We for this.
Did you want to make any promises about what we're doing next week?
I think. Do you want to talk about Haunted Mansion next week?
Does that come out next weekend?
So the 2 things that come out next week, or 3 things actually, is Haunted Mansion, Talk to Me, which is the new A24 horror film.
Okay.
And Sympathy for the Devil, which is the Nick Cage and Joel Kinnaman movie, which I do not think is going to go to theaters, I feel.
Okay, well,
I feel like that's going to be like solely on like streaming or not streaming.
Well, there's a kind of a common thread.
Yeah, it's coming to digital.
There's a common thread with Haunted Mansion and Talk to Me having horror elements, right?
That is true.
That could be something.
Do we want to talk about like
one is a horror comedy, obviously. But
do we want to do like kiddie horror and adult horror, or do we just want to do like A24 horror? It's kind of tough.
We could do kind of a variety pack kind of thing.
We could.
I don't know.
I think also we could talk about I think also that comes out next week. Maybe we could get our friend to be on the pod.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some guests.
Because
soon.
Yeah, because our good friend was supposed to be on the pod.
Would have been a good time for a guest.
Great time to have her on. But I know she wants to see this.
All right.
But we could also talk about They Clone Tyrone, which comes out on Netflix. I'm
Is that
thinking
a scary
it's
movie?
coming out.
I don't know.
It's I think it's an action like comedy. Yeah, so it's gonna be streaming on, or is it already streaming on Netflix? Let me check quickly. But I think Haunted Mansion and Talk to Me. I think those two might be.
Could do something with that.
Oh,
Oop, you're playing audio.
Okay, They Clone Tyrone is on Netflix.
Okay.
So we could talk about all three.
You want to expand? Well, we could expand on like horror.
Yeah, we could expand on horror and then
we'll talk about my favorite film, The Thing.
Okay.
Sci-fi.
So I think
horror.
Next week we'll be talking about Haunted Mansion and Talk to Me, and then may or may not try to get our friend who was supposed to be on the pod, but she got caught up with work, to talk about They Clone Tyrone. How about that?
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Yeah. All right. See you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening. Check us out on.
Yeah, at some point in the future, I demand we do Star Wars and Wes Anderson films.
Okay. I know Wes Anderson has something coming out later this year.
Good.
So we'll talk about Wes Anderson maybe then. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. You can find us on YouTube, on After the Credits YouTube channel, and then you can also find us on Spotify. For it's just the Fine Cut on Spotify.
Yeah, you'll find it. You'll see it.
Yeah, it's there.
Just search it.
You can follow me on Letterboxd at _filmworker_ if you want to see some of my hot takes on film, which I don't think are really hot takes. They're just more like I like a film.
I'm definitely one to have more of a hot take in there somewhere.
So where can they find you?
Trevzilla on Letterboxd.
All right.
That's my primary platform for this so far.
Of course.
It's where I put out my thoughts to the world. and here.
Hopefully you can see our thoughts on Haunted Mansion and talk to me before the pod drops. But thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Bye.